Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins in a picturesque cityscape, hinting at an impending storm. Inside a train, the atmosphere is tense, as dark clouds gather outside. Kurt Sloan locks eyes with Lou, a graceful and mysterious woman. Drawn to her, Kurt approaches Lou, and they start dancing together, creating a fleeting moment of intimacy, amidst the chaos brewing outside. Their dance is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of a sinister man, Pierre. As Pierre exits, he suddenly turns, draws a gun, and aims it at Kurt. However, Kurt's combat skills are unmatched. He swiftly disarms Pierre, and subdues him. As Lou attempts to leave the train, she is ambushed by another man, and soon, a group of goons wielding axes converge on them. Kurt engages in a fierce battle, defeating each attacker with precision and strength. Just when it seems the danger has passed, a formidable female fighter emerges. She challenges Kurt to a duel, but he ultimately triumphs over her as well. In a dramatic twist, Kurt looks out of the train, and sees Lou plummeting from the moving vehicle. Determined to save her, he climbs onto the roof of the train. Rain pouring down heavily, the female fighter and Pierre reappear. A brutal showdown ensues on the slippery train roof, with Kurt eventually hurling the female fighter off the train. He then confronts Pierre in a final intense battle. Although Kurt manages to throw him off the train, a rope snaps, causing Kurt to fall with him. Both are seen plunging into the turbulent waters below. We see Kurt struggling underwater, interspersed with serene images of Buddha statues, a temple, and kung fu fighters practicing their art. Moving on from the nightmare, Kurt, now being revived by a man named Crawford, who splashes water on his face, and punches him awake, signaling the start of another gripping chapter in Kurt's journey. Next, we find Kurt in the third round of a grueling boxing match, taking heavy punches from his opponent. It seems like Kurt is on the verge of losing, but he musters all his strength, leaps onto his opponent, throws him down, and locks him into submission. His opponent has no choice but to tap out, signaling Kurt's victory. The crowd erupts in applause, as the media swarms Kurt with questions about his impressive move. Overwhelmed with joy, he basks in the glory of his hard-fought win. Later at night, he is seen with Lou. She holds up a walking stick, and makes him promise never to leave her. Kurt solemnly promises, and they share a tender kiss, solidifying their bond. Next, we see news broadcasts and banners celebrating Kurt's victory. However, his triumph is short-lived, as a mysterious man confronts him, reminding him of the murder of Tong Po. Kurt insists it was self-defense, but the memory triggers a series of flashbacks. Suddenly, the man shocks him, rendering him unconscious. He is taken to an unknown location, and wakes up with water splashing on his face. He finds himself in a dimly lit room, with Crawford and Thomas Moore. Crawford is ruthlessly beating him, while Moore watches. Moore demands that Kurt fight again, but he refuses, not wanting to engage in another deadly match. In response, Moore throws Lou's locket towards him, a cruel reminder of his promise. Crawford continues to beat him, who is terrified and enraged. Fueled by anger, he headbutts Crawford, breaking his nose. Moore, impressed by his fighting spirit, grins with satisfaction, seeing potential in his defiance and strength. He is dragged into the arena, for a deadly fight against the formidable Monkoot. Before the fight begins, Moore offers Kurt a tempting deal, $1 million tax-free US dollars. Crawford adds pressure, questioning if Kurt wants to spend the rest of his life in jail, while opening his hands in a gesture of freedom. The scene shifts to a grim prison, where Kurt is also held. He is forced into brutal brawls with other prisoners. Despite the relentless attacks, he defeats them all, demonstrating his unmatched combat skills. However, at night, the police mercilessly beat him, until his chest bleeds, with Moore observing the brutality. Moore attempts to persuade him to accept his money, and prepare for the deadly fight. Yet he remains defiant, not ready to commit to Moore's deadly plans. One night, he picks up a plate, leading to another brutal beating by the police. Despite his injuries, he manages to call Lou. Their conversation is cut short when the police catch him. Shortly after, he encounters Briggs in jail, leading to a fierce fight. Briggs, a towering and powerful inmate, picks up Kurt multiple times, slamming him to the ground. He relentlessly punches Kurt's chest, leaving him gravely injured. The police intervene, tie both men up, and continue the beating, underscoring the harsh and relentless environment Kurt is trapped in. On the other side, Lou meets with the police, informing them about Kurt's dire situation. Meanwhile, Kurt looks despondent in his cell. Briggs, showing a rare moment of camaraderie, talks to him, and shows him a map on the wall, hinting at a possible escape route or a significant location. As Kurt walks through the prison at night, the lights suddenly turn on, revealing a man in the shadows. Approaching cautiously, he discovers it is Master Durand, who is also imprisoned for murder. Blinded during his incarceration, Durand has learned to rely on his other senses, considering his blindness a gift, and offers Kurt words of encouragement, rekindling his spirit. Next, Moore is seen conversing with a police officer. Crawford, confident and menacing, declares that he knows how to break Kurt. The scene shifts to a train station, where Gammon meets Lou. Lou reveals that her husband has been kidnapped, and the kidnapper is none other than Moore. Gammon, acknowledging Moore's immense wealth, agrees to meet Lou again in 2 hours, to plan their next move. However, Moore's men arrive at the train station, and capture Lou before she can leave. Crawford then approaches Kurt, and shows him a video of Lou's capture, taunting him and asking if he is ready to talk now, before walking away. Durand, sensing Kurt's distress, asks if he has agreed to Moore's demands. Kurt reveals they have his wife, and Durand understands the gravity of the situation. Kurt meets with Moore, who is pleased with his decision to fight. Kurt, however, sets some conditions. Moore agrees, but insists he cannot contact anyone until the fight is over, ensuring he remains isolated and under his control. Durand is seen sparring with a prisoner, as Kurt watches, absorbing Durand's unique fighting style. He begins his own training with a blindfold, honing his senses under Durand's guidance. He trains alongside Briggs, and fellow prisoners Big Country, Fabricio, Ronaldo, and a massive convict whose size rivals Moncout's. During this intense training period, tensions rise, leading to an argument, and subsequent fight between Durand and Briggs. Kurt intervenes, stopping them and reminding them of their common goal. He meets Moore again, expressing his desire to have Durand as his trainer, and to assemble a team of prisoners for support. Moore, seeing the potential benefits, reluctantly agrees. Durand infiltrates one of Moncout's training sessions, discovering that Moncout's formidable strength is due to bioengineering, by Ivy League graduate Rupert. Rupert has created a potent mix of adrenaline and steroids, making Moncout nearly invincible, except for one crucial vulnerability, a glass jaw. Gammon joins the training sessions, and Kurt recognizes Somsock, a notable figure from his past. Meanwhile, Moore and Crawford discuss a test fight, to gauge Kurt's readiness. They arrange for him to fight at a local nightclub, where Kurt and Durand reunite with Joseph King, whose previous fighter had defeated Kurt. At the club, Kurt faces King's new champion, Moss. While Durand distracts an onlooker, and steals his cell phone to call his son Travis, Kurt engages in a brutal match against Moss. Despite the odds, he triumphs over Moss, and with Travis's help, they make a narrow escape from the chaotic scene. His victory and the successful escape mark a significant step forward in his preparation, but the looming fight with Moncout remains a daunting challenge. With Durand, his team of prisoners, and the new intel on Moncout's weakness, Kurt gears up for the ultimate showdown, determined to rescue Lou, and put an end to Moore's reign of terror. The next day, he spots Somsock, and chases him through the city. After battling more of Moore's men, he finally catches up, and demands to know Lou's whereabouts. Somsock reveals that Lou is being held in Moore's apartment. Kurt, Gammon and Travis devise a plan to rescue Lou. They infiltrate Moore's apartment, fighting their way through his men. Kurt confronts Moore's two female valets, in a room full of mirrors, engaging in a disorienting and intense battle. Despite the challenging environment, he overpowers them, locates Lou, and rescues her. As they attempt to escape, O'Keefe, Moore's right-hand man, leads an ambush to stop them. Moncout arrives, adding to the danger. Just as Moncout is about to strike Kurt, Lou steps in, and is hit hard in the stomach, knocking her unconscious. Enraged, Kurt tells Crawford to inform Moore that he will face Moncout anytime, anywhere. Lou is taken to the hospital in a comatose state. Days later, she awakens to learn that Kurt has accepted the fight. Fully supportive, she encourages him to go through with it. The fight is scheduled at an old Muay Thai temple, a place steeped in tradition and history. Both Kurt and Moncout prepare for the brutal showdown. Despite Kurt's relentless efforts, Moncout proves to be overwhelmingly powerful. Midway through the fight, he throws Kurt against a statue, leaving him on the brink of death. As everyone believes Kurt has succumbed to his injuries, Lou finds Rupert's suitcase filled with adrenaline. Desperate to save him, she injects him with adrenaline, reviving him. Reinvigorated, he finds a second wind, and manages to gain some advantage over Moncout. However, Moncout once again overpowers him, throwing him towards another statue, and then dragging him to a nearby fountain, attempting to drown him. Kurt imagines himself drowning like in his dream, but he hears Lou and Durand's voices, telling him to swim out. This gives him the strength to fight back. He grabs a chain and wraps it around his fist. This helps him match Mongkut's punches. Using his skills, he starts to win and knocks Mongkut down. When Mongkut gets back up, Kurt uses the chain to choke Mongkut, breaking his neck. Kurt wins the fight. Back in his prison cell, Briggs smiles when he hears that Kurt has beaten Mongkut. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.